gentlemen, welcome back. Welcome to the show today. The topic today is Between Cross and Crescent, a Christian and Muslim perspective on Malcolm and Martin. And of course, we have with us to talk about this perspective on Malcolm and Martin, Dr. AAl-Hadid, who is the chairperson of the Department of Africana Studies at Tennessee State University. And with Dr. AAl-Hadid is Dr. Louis V. Baldwin, who is a professor in the Department of Religious Studies at Vanderbilt University. And of course, let me welcome you, Dr. AAl-Hadid, as well as Dr. Baldwin, to the show this morning. And to say how delighted we are to have the two of you here, and to also inform our audience that this certainly is not the first time that the two of you have been with us, either collectively or individually. And looking back over some of the things that we've done, I can recall excellent shows from the two of you. Dr. AAl-Hadid, I remember quite recently we did something on the African American in the 21st century, which way for the future, as well as the African in the New World. And of course, Dr. Baldwin, you came to us a long time ago with James Earl Ray's wife, I think, and you did that assassination on Dr. Martin Luther King. Right, so both of you, as well as several other talks about Dr. Martin Luther King. And so both of you have excellent credentials, and I know that you have excellent information for our audience this morning. Dr. AAl-Hadid, let's start with you by having you to give us some information about your background, your education, and of course Dr. Baldwin will do the same thing, and then we'll get into the book that the two of you have collaborated on and would like to talk about today.
Well, I'll start with the most immediate thing is I'm chair of the Department of Africana Studies at Tennessee State University, a department that was created in 1994, and I was one of the architects and one of the co-founders of that department. And I went to graduate school, University of California, Santa Barbara. While I was in graduate school, I had an opportunity to study in Nairobi, Kenya, and it was at that point, in 1969, that I embraced the religion of Islam, and then from that point, made the pilgrimage to Mecca and came back to the United States with a whole different worldview. And since that time, I have studied very carefully Islam and Pan-Africanism, and also the plight of the historically African-American colleges. I graduated from Alabama State University in Montgomery, Alabama, and attended George Washington Carver High School, also in Montgomery, Alabama.
Very good. And Dr. Baldwin?
Yes, I grew up in Alabama. As you well know, Dr. AAl-Hadid and I are from Alabama. And I attended Talladega College and got a BA in history in 1971. And at that point, I thought I had a call to the ministry, and so I decided to go to seminary. And I went to Crowes in the fall of '71 and received 2 master degrees, one Master of Art, one Master of Divinity, in 1973 and 1975, respectively. Also, as a student, I had the opportunity to participate in student demonstrations in the 1960s, and that had a great influence on my decision to become a scholar, to become a professor. So I left Talladega and went to Crowes Seminary, and from there, I decided to pursue a PhD at Northwestern University in the history of religions with an emphasis on Christianity. And I received a PhD in 1980, and since that time I've been teaching and writing, mostly on Dr. King. I have 3 books on Dr. King. I'm primarily interested in the history of African American religion and culture, and also the history of civil rights crusades. Particularly the modern civil rights crusade.
Very good. And of course, I think the two of you have collaborated, as we said earlier, on a book, Between Cross and Crescent. And let's have the two of you give us some information relative to that book, and we, of course, will have an opportunity following the first commercial break to get into some detail in reference to it. But let's have the two of you sort of give us an overview in terms of what the audience can expect from such a publication, and the efforts that have gone into it, and the things that you believe to be important in terms of bringing this as a scholarly work in front of our audience this morning. Let's start off with you, Dr. AAl-Hadid, and of course Dr. Baldwin. I'm almost sure that we'll be interrupted, but we'll pick it up at the end of the first segment.
Yes, I think my involvement started in 1985. It was at that time that I created a concept at Tennessee State University called the Great Debate. And in that forum, we debate current issues from the perspective of Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, and tried to achieve a dialectical synthesis. So it was about that time that I met Dr. Baldwin, and as fate would have it, he was also trying to bring some type of synthesis and some type of common understanding to Dr. King and Malcolm X. And so as he was working at Vanderbilt in terms of writing his books and doing a scholarship, and I was working at Tennessee State organizing the great debates, he and I just kept talking, exchanging ideas, and he would come to the great debates. I would go to his classes, and we worked together. And so finally we just decided, well, let's write this definitive book so that we can thrash out some of the contradictions and the misunderstandings. And so we started working on it. We did a first draft and an outline, and I think he got busy getting his tenure and full professorship at Vanderbilt, and I got busy doing the same thing at Tennessee State and creating the Department of Africana Studies. So once we got all our ducks lined up, he said, well, this will be our capstone activity.